Hey, what's up? Welcome back. This is episode 2 of the Build an FU Brand podcast. Again, my name's Thaddeus Levin. If you first time watching me, definitely go back and watch some of the previous episodes. You found episode 2, so there's not too much to go back and watch. But I just want to thank you for tuning in. And in this episode, we're going to be really hyper focusing on that next step. Where do you need to start? Like where do you begin with this whole brand building journey that you're going down? And a lot of people will send you down a lot of paths of picking out brand colors and picking that perfect slogan or mission statement. Now, while a lot of those things do have a lot of importance when it comes to building your big FU brand, your big, personal brand around you, a lot of those things are not as critical. But in this episode, we're really going to break down and really start to begin to discuss what we really need to be focusing on. And more importantly, over these next few episodes, we're going to be talking about how to actually deploy it, put it in action. We're not just going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about what to do with it, which is, I think, more important than anything else. So let's just start from square one. At the end of the day, we're building an empire, and building an empire all starts with setting the right foundation. In today's episode, we're going to be really breaking in and breaking down exactly what makes up a solid foundation for your brand to stand on so you can build your massive empire on top of that solid foundation. Now, what goes into it? Like, what is it? Like, what do you need to be worrying about? First and foremost, your foundation is going to be what you rely on through thick and thin. When everything seems like it's going wrong, when things are not moving the way you want them to, you're not attracting the right people, you're not bringing in the right clients, whatever it might be doing, your foundation is going to be what's going to be like your rock in the middle of a tornado or a snowstorm or whatever. It's going to be that thing you can latch on to and like really sink your teeth in and be able to lean on when everything else seems like it's going to shit. There's no other way to say it. So let's really dive into what factors play into your foundation, what things you need to be putting in place in order to really understand what your foundation is, and then also that those next steps, which we'll be covering over the next few episodes. But let's try to keep it focused, try to keep it on point, and really dive into like what makes up your foundation. Now, when it comes to building and creating a foundation that is yours, that is solid and unshakable, ultimately, it really stems from a lot of the things that make you who you are, your foundation. Yes, when you look inside of you, when you start thinking about who you are and why you are the way you are, those are going to be some of the foundational elements that really construct that FU brand. And just like we stated in episode 1, building an FU brand is not about being vulgar. It's about being profound. It's about being like not really confidence, but like having that conviction, having that like real firm like stance, if there's no other way to say it. Like when somebody tries to throw something at you, want to sling mud at you, you know that you are going to come out squeaky clean because you stand for what you believe in. You stand for what you're all about. You stand for who you are and how you can help people. And that all stems from this foundation. Same thing as it does is what makes you the individual that you are today. So let's take a step back. Let's go back. Let's go backwards now. All right. So to really understand what your foundation is built upon, there's going to be a few factors. This could be your background, meaning where did you grow up? What kind of environment did you grow up in? Maybe it was a foreign country. Maybe you were an immigrant in the country you are living in now. The cultural backgrounds that we come from, the upbringings that we come from, whether you come from a life of privilege or you come from a life of struggle like I did. But because of that struggle, and here's a quick example, and this is going to be what kind of constructs my FU brand. When I was growing up, it was very, needless to say, it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. I knew more about what the struggle was than I did know what the thrive was. You know what I mean? I didn't know what thriving meant because I spent all of my years surviving. So that carried with me. But a very, very valuable lesson came out of that. And this is the thinking that we need to get you thinking about when we're talking about your foundation. But what came out of all that struggle, what came out of all that hardship that I endured through childhood, early adult stages, so on and so forth, was a very, very strong value point. And this is going to be what you need to be thinking about. For me, it was work ethic. Okay. I knew I had to work for whatever I wanted in life. I knew I had to show up doing what I wanted to be doing in order to reap the benefits of what I wanted. In order to get what I want, I had to put something in. And that means that I had to really be proud of what I was doing because of the work ethic that I was distilled in going through that struggle. Okay. So that is a prime example of one of those kind of like foundational values that I'm built on. For you, it might be completely different and you don't have to have the same one, but that is just an example. And that's exactly what we're trying to break down here. So you can get the ball rolling. So you can get the wheels turning upstairs inside of your noodle floating around on what makes you who you are. What do you really believe in? And that's a whole nother thing. Whether you have values or morals or ethics, what are they? Why do you have them? What happened along your journey to really distill those feelings and those thoughts and those emotions around these type of values or ethics or morals? Because ultimately, the more we can really tap into what were these big moments that led to us like feeling so convicted about these things, now we can relate to other people with that same conviction, but more so about saying, oh, I believe in work ethic, but more about giving a reason why, a story behind it. And again, as we unlock these next few episodes, we're going to start talking about how to deploy this foundation when it comes to generating attention, i.e. creating content, and also where you're going to be creating it. We're going to talk about structure and a lot more of the tactics and strategies. But for now, we really need to stay focused and tap into what makes us who we are. And again, that might be, like I said earlier, through the background that you came from, through the childhood that you had. Maybe it was a trait that you picked up while you were as a young adult. Maybe it is something that you have found out later in life, like I did, that, no one was going to come save me, you know what I mean? I had great work ethic, but no one was coming to save me. The life that I was living, I was choosing to live, but no one else was going to come and make a different choice for me. No one else is going to show up and do something or lead me in a direction to where I wanted to go. I had to make that decision. And that's something I strongly believe in as well. But again, it all stems from how we grew up or stuff that we might have picked up later on in life. So really start to tap into it. Some really, really, really clutch questions you would need to be asking is, where do I come from? What impact did that make on the way I think about the world, the way I think about business, the way I think about content, the way I think about helping other people, the way I think about, whatever the outcome from you, having these traits distilled in you. Why is that such a big deal? Why did that make a difference for you? The more you can write these down, and I strongly suggest each of you whipping out a pen and a paper and writing down these questions. What parts of my background have helped shape who I am? What elements inside of that shape do I strongly believe in? Are these just values? Is this religious views? Again, I'm not saying go be super polarizing and you need to be, Christianity or Buddhism or Judaism is the way to go. I'm not saying any of that, but having a strong belief in that you were called for something and having that background around, maybe it was a religious reason. There's nothing wrong with that. That makes up who you are. There's a big difference between, being saying, oh, everyone's going to go to, go to the bad place if you're not this religion. There's a big difference between that and allowing your religion to help shape who you are. So don't shy away from that, but just understand the difference between defining who you are and what you're about versus being very declarational. I guess that's a word. I don't know if that is. We'll make one up. Who cares? Write that down. Hit up Merriam-Webster, whatever that looks like. But rather than just being declarational about what your religion is, it's more about how that has played a role in shaping who you are. Same thing with, maybe you come from a life of privilege. Maybe you don't come from a life of privilege. What impact has those things made on you? What perception of the way you handle yourself has it played a part in? And the more we can really, really get super specific, and specificity is going to be super important, okay? Because the more specific we can be with ourselves and start to really peel back the layers, so to speak, of who we are and why we are the way we are, we're going to be able to really take form and really start to shape this foundation, Okay. And again, it doesn't matter what it is, where you came from, what your background is, what your ethnicity, your gender, it doesn't matter any of those things. We're all created equal in the essence of being able to create an FU brand starts with sharing and being open about why we are the way we are and why we think the way we think. Okay. A lot of those things are really going to be very, very important when it comes time to define our personal brand, define our brand as a whole. And again, even if you aren't leveraging a personal brand and maybe you're leveraging your own company that is its own brand and you're just like the owner of that brand, so to speak, don't shy away from allowing some of these same factors, but put it in the spectrum of your business, your business brand. Okay, it doesn't necessarily, if you're running a mobile DJ business, and I use this as an example because there's a gentleman I played golf with a few random weeks ago, just some random guy I got paired up with, but he ran a mobile DJ business, national business. But we started talking about content, started talking about how he's marketing his business, so on and so forth. And all I could think is like his business would be great if he could tap into how his business brand really take form. Why do they do it the way they do it? Where did that come from? What are the beliefs? What is the backbone? What makes up? And giving people something that they can personally connect with. And that's what it's all about. That's ultimately what it's really all about. Being able to create that connection with complete strangers around common similarities. And that's why our values, our background, our ethics, our morals, all of those things play such a pivotal role in creating that foundation around our FU brand. So take this time, take a moment, take a step back, write down some of these questions that I asked. What impact of the things that have made you who you are. What, maybe it's the ethical, not ethical, but ethnicity background. Maybe that's not the way I need to say that, but we're gonna say it. Maybe it's your ethic, not your ethnic, but your ethnic background that played such a major role. Maybe it was your religious background. Maybe it was your upbringing. Maybe it was your jobs. Maybe it was school. Whatever these big things that got distilled in you. Maybe it was military. Maybe it was sports. It doesn't matter. Wherever you got it from, the more you can really tap into that catalyst type moment is going to help you deploy this foundational piece when it comes time to attracting more people who are about what you're about. So take a second. Write down those questions, rewatch this if you need to, re-listen to it, whatever you got to do, and start to really craft and really diagnose why you are the way you are, because that's going to help you define who your people are. Because ultimately, the people who buy from you, the people who may come join your group, watch your podcast, submit to your email list, whatever you decide to do with your FU brand, those people are going to be aligned with who you are and why you are the way you are. So take a second, write that down, write out get a little pen and paper, write down those questions, and really start to peel back those layers of what makes you who you are. And then we'll be able to, over these next couple of episodes, start to talk about how to structure things and how to deploy this foundation in order to start attracting more of the people you want in your world to help grow your business, whatever that might be, whatever you're doing with your personal brand. So with that being said, we're going to wrap it up for today. But again, if you're watching this on a replay video, smash all the buttons, do all the things that people tell you to do, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. If you're listening to this audio on an audio channel, make sure you subscribe, and that way you don't miss any future episodes. And I appreciate each and every single one of you, and we'll catch y'all in episode 3. Peace.